This is Let's Talk Arts and Entertainment on WMAY. Well, the Jacksonville area has had a couple of theaters in the past. A brand new Jacksonville-based theater, however, might not exactly be in Jacksonville. You might see it a couple different places in the coming weeks, months, years. And one of the founding members of this new theater, Round Table Productions, is with me, and that is Sean Edward Hall. How are you doing, Sean?
Hey, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Good to see you too. It's this is really cool because we were talking. I've been following this a little bit on Facebook, and we're talking a little bit before we started recording about this. So this just tell us a little bit about the background of Round Table Productions and sort of how you kind of came to the idea.
Sure. So I during COVID had to move back to my home where my mother is, and that's in the Jacksonville area. And in the last couple of years, they have one by one lost their outlet for community amateur theater. Now, Illinois College still has their theater program, but there wasn't anything for community theater. Playhouse on the Square was the last holdout, and unfortunately, Rich and Lori McCoy had to close their doors not too long ago. So I moved back. My best friend, Sherry Mitchell, who's also big in the theater scene, has decided to move back home. And we were mourning the loss of the theater. And we were talking one day and we said, why don't we just start one? And that began the talks.
Nice. Good. And so, yeah, that's, because that's because we were in a show out in the Playhouse, the Playhouse on the Square there. You were in Annie together, and
right.
You and I know you were in a lot of shows in Jacksonville. I never did a show at the Jacksonville Theater Guild. My sister did, though. She did a couple. And and then there were, just when that closed, and then there really wasn't a whole lot going on. So it's so cool. Now with this now I was talking a little bit about this at the beginning, how this isn't now pretty much every theater in the central Illinois area, and there's a lot of theater, is that there's they're in one place, whether it's outside or inside. But you guys are taking a little bit of a different approach to this theater that you're doing.
Yes. Well, the advantage of this is we're building from the ground up. Sherry and I initially reached out to the new Jacksonville Fine Arts Center that is in the beginning process, and they will be either building a building, or I think they may be rethinking that. I'm not sure the latest, but they were going to build their own theater, Fine Arts Center, that would have a theater and a concert hall and spaces for artists. And we approached them, but because of their grant writing and the way that they're set up, they couldn't house a theater group. We could rent from them. So that made us start thinking creatively, because, neither she nor I have a lot of any money at all, really. And I did theater in Chicago when I lived up there, and most every theater company that I worked with rented space. Even the one of the big theaters there, Circle Theater in Oak Park, they shuttered their actual theater, and they started renting space. So it was a very common thing to find a space or create a space in a bar or above a bar. Theater is very guerrilla, very storefront, very on the fly. And Sherry and I started talking. I'm like, we could do that concept here. And that's how we want to approach it. Depending on the show, we would find the best space. We might do Shakespeare in the Park and do that outdoors. The park in Jacksonville has a pavilion, so if we wanted to move inside, we could move inside. If we do a show that takes place in a bar, we might try and use a local bar. The options are limitless. Since we don't have a space, we are thinking outside of the box.
That's great. That is really cool, because because of all different indoor and outdoor theaters and varying sizes of venues, there's certain shows that are done one way can be done completely different depending on the venue. So like you said, being able to just have the show and saying we're gonna do it in this place, adapt it. It's really cool. It's really gonna lead to a lot of real creative productions, and that's gonna be really awesome.
And I have to hand it to Phil Funkenbush, because he's really another person that helped us get our gears going in this direction, because he's done productions of our town where every act is in a different locale. Like, our town ends up in the cemetery, so they would go to the cemetery for the last scene. So that started us thinking. And then with my, expertise with the Chicago theater scene, I thought we could even not do it for just one show. We could do it for every show. Just decide where to be for that particular venue. So
That's great. And talk a little bit about the name there, the Round Table Productions. I think parallel, of course, to the Round Table Camelot,
right.
there's a lot of different meaning that's going to go with that. So what's all about the Round Table?
So the main reason for a round table is because in the legend of Camelot and King Arthur wanted a round table because there was no head seat, no head of the table. It was an all-inclusive circle where everybody worked shoulder to shoulder. Everybody was fighting for a common goal. There was no one person was more important than the other. And that's exactly what we wanted with this community theater. Community theater is about the community. And we wanted this community theater to really represent the community. And we wanted it to be a community effort. So we've made a very decided effort to not be the Sherry and Sean show. That we have a group of people that are diverse in their race and culture and their orientation and their gender, and be so inclusive that we tell the stories and include the stories of everyone in our community. And not just do, traditional, a lot of the old classics, as wonderful and beautiful as they are misogynistic at times, are the white man story, even like Our Town.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the ones we talked about maybe doing first. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the white man story. You could have a diverse racial cast, but it's still telling the story of the white story. So we made a very concerted effort to find a wide variety of folk to help us start talking about how to be inclusive and how to break down some barriers and find people within the community who maybe wouldn't normally think about being involved.
Great. Well, that's awesome. That is so cool, and that is really that is a good point to make. That there are so many ways you can do any show, and a lot of the classics, they're going to be done all the time, and we love the classics, love seeing them, love being in them. There's so so many of them were written at that time. It's you never know. So it is cool. Get more voices, get everything. If people want to get involved with Roundtable Productions, they want to keep up to date, seeing how everything's going. How are they able to contact you or follow you in any way that they can follow these productions?
We will be creating a Facebook page soon. So watch for Roundtable Productions. I will be sharing links to the website when we get it, or web page when we get it set up on Facebook. We'll probably have a website. But until then, you can reach me at Sean Edward, SEANEDWARD 012766 at Gmail. And I have posted it on my personal Facebook page. I've posted about it on the Springfield community area community page. And there is the list of the 12 people who have been in talks about creating the new theater, and you can contact any one of them to find out information if you want more information from any of them as well.
All right, sounds good. Well, people will be able to contact you, and then also once those pages get up and running, we'll share them with everybody to make sure that they can be in the know about what's coming up with the Round Table Productions. Sean, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm sure we'll be talking again in the future.
Great, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Let's Talk Arts and Entertainment on WMAY.